everybody, welcome to the 18th and best episode of the Hashcast with a brand new setup with two screens at the same time so I don't mess up my intro by staring at the wall for 20 seconds. And tonight I have a very cool guest to test it out with, my good friend Tegan Laing. How are you, Tegan?
Hello, I'm very good. How are you?
I am great. I'm just gonna. I know everything about. Not everything about you, but I know you're an animator. That you work on cool movies and that you do all kinds of cool stuff. But the most important thing is, you live with Steven Blomkamp. Do I need to call the police?
I will let you know that is a high possibility.
Okay.
He is constantly doing crimes.
Constantly doing crimes. All right.
So many crimes.
I'm glad you're okay with that somewhat. But tell me all about who you are and why are you so interesting that I'm going to talk to you for an hour.
Well, I'm not interesting.
Oh yes.
I don't know why I'm on here. I am a 3D animator. I have worked on a bunch of feature films and some TV shows. Feature films I have credits in would be Godzilla and Maleficent and Hotel Transylvania 3, and most recently, project I'm working on right now is Lego Movie 2, animating on that. And then I was a lead animator on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2012 series, which was what I think the best.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to start the bat off with just like saying a statement that's going to offend all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans out there, but I think the 2012 series was the best.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to take your word for it because I'm only familiar with the cartoon from like back in the day and the live action movies.
Well, we don't speak of the live action movies.
Hey, the first two were not bad. I think, maybe the first one was not bad.
You would like them.
I know.
You like
I have
Batman
a
versus Superman.
I know. Well, hey. There's going to be... I started a whole brand new show called Oh, the Hashcast I, where I just talk about stupid stuff like that, but also like other things. And you can bet your ass there's going to be an episode on Batman vs. Superman and why it's actually good.
Oh.
I know. Yeah, I know. For the listeners, that was a major facepalm happening right there. So you've done a lot of cool stuff, and I remember when we just met, because we've been friends for like, 3 years now? 2 years?
Oh, yeah, probably right about that. No,
Yeah.
It's been 3 years.
Yeah, well, that's nuts. That I was bitching about Maleficent, and then you were like, actually, and I forget the name, but you had such a cool job description for the title, but I can't recall what it was.
On Maleficent?
Like a rotator or whatever.
Roto-animator.
Yeah, that's
Rotomator.
A rotomator.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
That's the worst job.
What is a rotomator animator?
Oh, geez, I don't even know. It's like, I'm going to try and explain this in like non-animation terms, but it's like basically you've got a rig and you have to like make sure that that rig is covering the movie. So you've got like, say you've got a character in the background and you have to make sure that rig is exactly covering what that character is doing.
Okay.
So, and then you basically have to roto, which is just follow that exact plate of that character. And then just do that for like the rest of your life. And it's horrible and boring and tedious. And it's not real animation.
Well, I must say it's the best roto animation I have ever seen.
Oh, thank you.
Film. Yeah,
yes.
Clearly. But is that like, when you look at the world of animation, is that the first like step of the ladder? Or how did you get in that at all?
Yeah, that's pretty much, that's where you start. That's the base. I mean, if you want to get into feature film stuff, you can, and you aren't getting in as an animator right away, then you can definitely start off as a roto-anim. Or you can go in as like a PA, which is a pretty common route. That's a production assistant. So that's kind of like someone who like will be running around the studio, helping out the different departments and things like that. But that's a good foot in the door. So a lot of people do that. I went the roto-anim route and then got into animation. My first real animation job was actually VeggieTales.
VeggieTales?
I don't know if you know that.
I've heard the name, yes.
It's a very Christian cartoon series.
Yeah. But like that is step one, but like, how does it work? I assume you went to like animation school?
Yeah. So actually, my plan
Yeah.
was to be an astrophysicist.
Okay.
So I fell into this somehow. I don't fully understand it. I had applied out of high school. Like my plan was, I'm gonna be an astrophysicist. I'm going to space. Like I wanna do shit like that. And then I applied for one sort of computer programming type course, and fell in love with that one, and ended up just doing that. Okay. So then I worked for the government for 2 years, doing like some programming and web dev and things like that, and a bit of graphic design, which was kind of interesting, like sprinkled in there. And then I decided I hated my life and I didn't want to work for the government anymore.
No.
And I moved to Vancouver and went to film school for a year, and then had struggles getting a job after film school because the industry was very dry when I first graduated.
But Vancouver is big enough, I guess.
Vancouver is huge for the industry. Like there's so many animation studios here, and visual effects studios, and game studios, and it's great.
Yeah, so really I had no idea that was a thing, but I was living in the Netherlands, so you don't know fuck all really about anything that's not in English. So did you always live in Vancouver? You moved to Vancouver. Where did you move from?
Well, I grew up in Toronto area.
Yeah.
It's technically Ajax, but I don't think anyone knows what that is. So it's Toronto.
It's a Dutch soccer club, if you must know.
It's a what?
It's a Dutch soccer club, like the biggest.
That's true.
Dutch
The Ajax. Yeah. That's a good point. I am actually half Dutch. So.
Oh wow, there you go. That's why we're buddies.
It's also that's why.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
No other reason.
No, not at all.
It's also like a cleaner Ajax, and it's a programming language.
Yeah, it's also the name in I think Death Wish 3, where one of the kids is named Ajax because he always gets away clean. Like for some reason I remember that joke. I don't know why. Anyway,
that's so funny.
That's a very good segue. So you moved to Vancouver, got out of school, and then is there something like a success bias maybe? Because I think a lot of people want to do maybe what you do. What made you stand out? Like how did you get that first job, and how did you start that climb?
Oh man, honestly, the biggest thing, it's not even your demo reel. Like your demo reel has to be good enough to get a job, but your biggest asset is actually your network. So when I was in school, I would go to everything. Like I would, anything that there was a party or there was anything at all, I would go and I would just make contacts left and right. And, which is just, I also just love going to parties and things. So it was totally fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I built up a pretty big network, and then I got my first job through that. And then I got my second job, which was the real animation job, so not the roto-anim job, through my network as well. And it's just like someone says, you know what, here's this girl's demo reel. I know her. She's cool. Come hire her.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how I've gotten most of my jobs is knowing someone at those studios, and they send your demo reel for you. And your demo reel has to be like not terrible, but for the most part, like you can get a lot of opportunities through just whoever you know, and just don't be a dick.
And don't be a dick. That's always good advice. Doesn't matter the industry. Yeah.
No, and it's such a small industry, especially in Vancouver. Like, I know someone that works at like every studio in the city at this point. Like, so if you're an asshole, then that is going to spread, and people are going to be like, oh no, don't hire her.
Yeah.
So you have to be nice. Don't be a dick. And you should also just do that in general.
Yeah, just in general. Be a good person. It's I think it's funny that you mentioned, like, you know, people at every studio, because when I made a joke and we talked about what you did, I looked at the credits and I saw your name and I was like, that is so cool. I know someone in the credits of a movie. And you were like, really? Because I know like 100 people there. But for noobs like me, it's still pretty cool that, you know, because movies are such a huge thing and there's so many people working on it, and you're part of that gear. Does it, like, how quick did you get used to that?
My very first credit in a movie, I was like sending it to everyone. I was like, look at my name. It's right there. And it was pretty cool. That hasn't gone away. I still do that. So anytime I have a credit in anything, I take a picture of it and then I post it or I send it to everyone I know. I'm just like, guys, look it.
Yeah.
I did a thing. Which is, I mean, probably annoying, but...
No, I think it's still pretty cool. I saw you do it with Hotel Transylvania 3, which I went to see with my kid.
Did you like it?
I liked it. I think it was pretty funny. Like, I enjoyed the first two as well. But my kid is 3.5, so she does not understand how cool her dad is that he knows someone in the credits. but it will come eventually.
My mom like went to the theater and randomly pulled people aside that were going to see it and was like, "My daughter worked on this."
Yeah. Well, I thought
very embarrassing.
You say it's embarrassing, but when the trailer came out, I think there was 2 shots from you in that, like they did the high five, and if you're like, oh yeah, there's 2 shots from me in that, but how is that? How that works? Like everybody gets like 20 shots on a movie and then they just glue it together. Like, can you explain a little how that process works from an animation perspective? You get the scripts and everything, and then what?
Yeah. So we don't really get the script. We don't use the script too much unless it's something that you're like, I don't understand who's saying this line or something. Then you look at the script. But you get the audio for it, so they'll have already recorded, like Adam Sandler, or for Lego Movie it'd be like Chris Pratt, and that'll already be recorded. And then you get that sound with the sound effects in it and the dialogue and everything. And then you have like a storyboard that they've done prior. And you've got, sometimes you have to do the layout. Sometimes there's a layout team that does the layout, which is just like putting all the characters in the scene and placing the camera. And if the camera's animated, they'll do an animation on the camera and things like that. So on Ninja Turtles, I had to do layout. We had like the animation team had to do layout. But on feature films, usually there's a layout department that will take care of that.
Yeah.
So you get that layout file, and then you have to go in and actually move all the characters around to match the audio.
Yeah.
Doing lip sync is usually one of the last things that you do.
Yeah.
But and quite often that stuff changes too.
Yeah.
Like I've opened a shot before, and the dialogue is just completely different, and you're just like, no one told me this was changing. My shot is, I have to completely change everything now. And that is very frustrating.
Yeah. It's just funny to me because I have no idea how any of this works, obviously. That's why I let you do the talking. But so you see your scene probably like hours and hours on end, and then you see it in a trailer.
Days
like,
and days and weeks and weeks.
Days and days and weeks and weeks just for one shot, right?
For one shot, yeah.
Because I remember hearing you talk about Turtles, that's a weekly show, wasn't it?
Yeah, Turtles is much faster. So if you're in TV... so the average quota for TV is like 32 seconds a week. The average quota for a feature film is like 5 seconds a week.
Oh, really?
Maybe. So that would be actually probably a lot.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's a very different, they're 2 very different beasts.
Yeah.
Like TV is, the quality isn't as high, but you have to pump things out so fast, like all the time. With feature, you got to spend a lot more time on every shot, like really upping that quality.
Yeah.
But you've got a little bit more leeway on the, like when it has to be done. So that's kind of nice. But they're both challenging.
Yeah.
And they're both fun. And I don't know if I'll go back to TV because I'm really enjoying feature, but I might go back. Yeah,
you never know. You never know. So and I know you've announced this, but you're working on Lego Movie 2 right now.
Yes.
It's coming out in January, February 2019.
February, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
I can't say too much about it because they'll sniper me.
I know. I don't want to get you sniped, but I'm super excited for that because by the time that comes out, I can brag to my daughter a little better and she'll understand it a little bit more.
She'll be a little bit older.
Yeah, exactly. She'll be 4 then. And besides, I love Lego Movie 1.
I loved it as well.
So I'm looking forward to you spilling all the beans in secret. She won't. Don't fire her. But this is going to be good.
Like waiting for the sniper shot now.
Yeah. Is that the biggest one that you've worked on, you think? Lego Movie 2?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
It's the one that I'm most excited about. Hotel Transylvania was... it's interesting because the animation styles on Lego Movie and Hotel Transylvania are like very, very, very opposite.
Yeah.
Hotel Transylvania is like very smear frames. Like you have to do extremely cartoony stuff. Like Gendy Tartakovsky, if you know who that is.
No.
You know
Who's that?
So
No.
he's the director.
Yeah.
He also did Samurai Jack and Dexter's Lab and all those good shows from back then.
Yeah.
But he would like draw over panels for us. Like he'd see our shot and then he'd freeze it on a frame. And then he's an incredible 2D artist. Like just super good.
Yeah.
And he would draw over it and just be like, cool, now just hit this. And you'd be like, that made it so much better.
Yeah.
You're just like, I thought it was not too bad, and
Yeah.
now it's just crazy good.
Yeah.
So working with him on that kind of style movie was just amazing.
Yeah.
But Lego Movie is like the opposite style, where you have to be super Lego legal, which is the term we
Okay.
hear all the time, which means that you can't do smear frames, you can't stretch anything or bend anything because it has to be a Lego piece.
Okay.
Like it is a Lego piece. So I've got like Legos on my desk that
Yeah.
I'll like play with to see if I can. I literally play with Lego at work. It's fantastic.
That is pretty sweet. Yeah.
So I'll like play with it to see how it can move and if I can get it to do certain things and how I would do it. So for like reference.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very different style, but they're both a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And they were both had some really funny stuff. So
That's just like those are things I do not think about. Like that there is people drawing over your frames and they're all amazing, and then Lego is like, I can see why Lego is that like precise about their stuff, because their brand management is pretty severe.
well, it's supposed to feel like
Stop
it's
frame
actually-
animation.
yeah, like stop motion animation with a Lego piece.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's
if
cool.
you're like stretching their arms out, you're gonna be like, that's not Lego.
Yeah. Oh man, now I'm gonna be like super obsessed about chucking all the frames in that movie. But I don't
frame
want-
by frame.
Yeah, I'm like,
Jeez.
oh, that's clearly a Tegan Laing shot. That's what I'll be telling my
That's the
daughter.
worst one in the movie. Definitely Tegan's.
No, I doubt that's going to be that. I have all the faith in your skills because I've seen some of your work and it's amazing. But Turtles, I also want to talk a little bit about Turtles because I do love me some Ninja Turtles.
That's probably honestly been one of my favorite projects so far.
Yeah?
Oh, I also worked on Spy Kids. I forgot to mention that one.
Oh, that's also like one of these minor franchises.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's been like out of the radar for so long.
Yeah,
That
I see
when
it
they
on
were like,
Netflix
"Hey,
all
we
the
have a
time.
Netflix show." Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's actually pretty good. I liked that show a lot.
Yeah. But just before we can even go into your work on Ninja Turtles, like we have to know who your favorite Ninja Turtle is because it's the kind of stuff that internet needs to know.
It's Mikey.
Oh, everybody always saying Mikey.
I fucking love Mikey.
It's such a cop out. No, it's not a cop out answer. But
It's for me. It's because I found him the most fun to animate.
okay.
Just because you had so much freedom with things you could do with him because he's supposed to be super extreme and wacky and goofy and whatever. So any line that he had, I was just like, man, I can push this guy because he's supposed to be crazy. So I just loved animating him.
Yeah.
Which is why he's my favorite.
Okay. Well, okay, fair enough. I guess that's a legit answer with someone who actually worked with Mikey in a way. But you say like you can push this guy all the way, but in a limited time, as you said earlier.
Yeah. So you have to be careful with 2D or with TV animation because if you have an idea, you're usually very free to try it.
Mm-hmm.
But if the directors don't like it, then you have just wasted very precious time.
Yeah.
Whereas with feature, if you have an idea and you pitch it and the directors don't like it, they're just like, let's try something different. And then you're just like, okay, I still have like another 3 weeks. So
Okay. So Ninja Turtles, how did that happen? Also from your network again, like you were just the awesome one that they picked out.
Well, I had been working. So VeggieTales was made by the same company as Ninja Turtles, and I started as a junior on VeggieTales, and then was made a lead after I think about 7 or 8 months, maybe 9 months. I can't remember now. So I was a lead on VeggieTales for quite a while, probably another 7 or 8 months, which is a long time in animation world.
Yeah.
These contracts are usually like a year would be like, whoa, it's a long contract. So I was a lead on VeggieTales, and then I'd reached the point where I was feeling like I wasn't really growing anymore because VeggieTales is very like, it's like bouncing balls, like they don't have limbs.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was like, I need to move on to something else. I always find when I reach that point, I'm just like, it's time to do something different so that I feel like I'm growing as an artist. So I messaged a couple people on Ninja Turtles, which is at the same company, and said, I'd like to join you.
Yeah.
And you have to go through the right channels, otherwise people get angry. But I went through the right channels.
Yeah.
And then they just transferred me over. And then I became a lead on that one after probably about the same amount of time, actually 7 months, 8 months or so. That one was so much fun. Ninja Turtles was so much fun to work on.
Yeah. But that's a pretty big deal to be the lead on Ninja Turtles, which is like a huge franchise.
it was intimidating. And
Yeah.
to be honest, every time I've been promoted to lead or even senior or anything, or started a new, like when I started working on Hotel Transylvania, getting into feature animation, things like that, anytime one of those big steps happens,
Yeah.
the voice in your head is always like, you are not going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Like, this is, you're taking on too much. You're not ready for this. You're not good enough for this. And it's just something you have to learn to, like, it's going to be there. You just have to accept. I find that I have to accept that that's something that I'm always going to be thinking.
Yeah.
But then you just do it anyways. And usually it ends up being way better than that voice in your head tells you it's going to be. Pretty much every single time for me. Because I was always like, you are going to fail. Like, this is going to be bad. What are you doing? You're going to ruin your animation name. Like, people are going to be like, don't hire her. She's terrible. She fucked up the entire Ninja Turtle show. Can I swear?
Oh, yeah. That's fine. That's fine.
She fucked up the entire Ninja Turtle show. But, I mean, you just, whenever you've got those kind of opportunities, you just take it and then do it. And just ignore that voice as best as you can.
Yeah.
But that's not always easy. That's easier said than done.
Yeah, it's the good old imposter syndrome, I guess. Yeah. Like, pretty much every creative I ever talk about has that problem. I struggle with it constantly when something cool happens. But yeah, I guess I am not like lead on Ninja Turtles League like you, so you're telling me that will never get better. Basically, it only gets worse.
No, I mean, like, I recently found out a little, like, probably a year ago, less than a year ago, that like Glenn Keane was even feeling that. And Glenn Keane is the biggest name in animation. Like, he did everything. He worked on like all the Disney movies and just incredible animator.
Yeah.
And he recently talked about how he always gets imposter syndrome. And I was just like, if he does, then like there's no hope for the rest of us. We're all gonna have it all the time.
Is that the person you're gonna do a course with, or already doing a course with?
No, that's James Baxter. So James Baxter and Glenn Keane are like probably the two biggest names. James Baxter is the guy that animated the dance scene in Beauty and the Beast, like the ballroom, the Tale as Old as Time song scene. So he's doing a master class in Vancouver, and me and like 15 coworkers got tickets, and we're all going to go and level up our skill.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. That's
very
pretty sweet.
excited.
Yeah, that must be awesome. So Lego 2 is in good hands. Clearly.
Well, there are a lot of other animators that I would say
guess.
yes.
How big is an animator? Is an animated team on a movie like that?
So yeah, it varies by company. Like Sony, the one that did Hotel Transylvania, they've got a million animators. Like, they pulled on a hike. I think Hotel got up to 140 animators. I think Spider-Man's that they're working on right now is even higher animator count. I'm not sure, but Sony does a lot. Like, they more than most other companies.
Yeah.
So Animalogic, which is the company that does Lego that I work at, we've got, I think we're probably up to about 35 or 40 animators now, probably.
That's a lot, yeah.
And that's like the max they're going. They're not going higher than that. So it's not like Sony where it's like you're not going to meet everyone. It's like I know all the animators, so that's really nice.
Yeah. Okay, so with the Lego Movie, you can fuck around with anything, but in all the other stuff you work, especially maybe TV, where you push so much work, do you ever sneak in something like a little reference? Is that true? Does it happen?
It does. Yeah, it does happen. It happens quite frequently. Trying to think if there's anything that
you snuck in and don't want to get fired. Well, you already gone, so it doesn't really matter, I guess.
I don't think I snuck anything in, actually, when I was working on Ninja Turtles. No. I know a couple people did. Like, there'd just be like, they'd have a character in the background mouth something like, "You motherfucker" or something. And you'd never see it unless you were looking at that character and saw that their mouths, they mouthed that.
Yeah.
I thought that was the cat. It's not the cat. It's just the apartment ghost.
Okay, the famous apartment ghost, only surpassed by the famous waffles.
Yes.
But so I want to get. I do have more Ninja Turtle questions. Like, how much reference material do you get? Because I know there's no real Ninja Turtles, unfortunately. But
there's not.
No, I apparently not. They're secret. They're ninjas. You can't see them.
Oh my god.
But
Shot.
like I do martial arts, so when I look at like a show like Ninja or anything that has some kung fu in it, like, do you get a reference for that, or do you just have to assume that it looks right, or like?
Yeah, it's some animators like to work with reference. It's a little bit more difficult in TV just because
Yeah.
you have to go so fast. So taking the time to go and get all the reference is actually sometimes detrimental. But for something that's heavily physics based, like motion based, like a martial arts scene, yeah, we'd go and like look on the internet, see if we can find some sort of like reference video of some guy doing a jump kick or whatever,
Yeah.
and then you can kind of look at that as you're animating, and that helps. Feature film is largely reference. Like most people will get reference feature film work, because it does help. Like it actually really helps. It's really good to get reference. But on the really cartoony stuff, it's a little bit more difficult because you can get it for like the base of what you're animating.
Yeah.
But after that, you have to just push it way further than what your reference is. So not everyone uses it. There's no real right way of animating.
Nah.
So if you want to use reference, then that's good. If it helps you, that's awesome. If you're the type of animator just like I prefer to just dive into it without reference, that's totally fine as well. I've done both ways.
Yeah.
I like using reference, but I also hate being the person on the video. So if I can find someone else to go and shoot reference for me, then I'll do it. But if I have to do it myself, I will just not do it.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. Once you work in this field yourself, is it harder, or it doesn't bother you at all to watch other animation movies knowing the stuff? Like you must see everything. Is that annoying, or does it just not bother you at all?
I'm actually the worst, and I don't see as much as I probably should. 'Cause I don't, unless I go frame by frame. Like I'll just watch it and be like, oh yeah, it looks great. That's fantastic. There have been a couple of times where I'll see something, I'll be like, whoa, that's really bad animation. Like, whoa, man.
I need. Well, no, maybe it's not fair to ask. Like, I need examples because that's basically like shitting on your coworkers. But
I don't want to give you examples.
No. I'll let that one slide because that's not a
But
nice thing to do.
that definitely does happen where you'll be watching something. A lot slides by me. I feel like I'm not very observant. But maybe that's not a good skill or quality for an animator, not being observant. Now that I think about it.
Well, as a lead, maybe I don't know, Tegan.
Shit. Oh no! Why did they hire me?
Yeah. Now, this was the Hashcast. Thank you so much, and this was your career. No.
And no longer an animator.
No longer an animator. That's too bad. Lego 2 is cancelled. Thanks to the power of the Hashcast.
We keep trying to get Chris Pratt to come out. So Chris Pratt, if you're listening,
I know
the
he
animators.
is,
I don't know. He probably does. The animators on Lego Movie 2 would like to see you.
Yeah.
Please come visit us.
It's for reference material.
For reference, for science. No.
That'd be
yeah,
cool.
please. We'll buy pizza.
That'll be awesome. Do you ever get to meet the stars of the films?
It does happen. There's been a few times that some of the stars have gone through Sony. I wasn't working there, so that's kind of inconsiderate of them for doing that when I was not currently working there. But that does happen. Yeah. It's very rare.
Yeah. So
it doesn't happen very often.
Do you still get like starstruck from that, or is it just you're like so cool right now?
I'm like so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No, I do. I get the super starstruck. I recently went to, I don't know if anyone knows who these people are. They probably do because everyone's a nerd.
Yeah.
Supernatural cast. I met them. So it was like Jensen Ackles' 40th birthday party, and I got invited because I have a buddy that works on it, and I was tripping. Like I was so starstruck. I love them so much. So he's probably like, he keeps telling me like he'll bring me again, but I don't feel like he will because I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, I think Peter was on the show a while ago. Yeah,
that's my friend. That you guys probably would know Peter then. Yeah, he's the one that
episode 7, I think.
Plug that shit.
Yeah. So that doesn't get old. I think that's kind of cool.
No, I mean, you got to try and contain it and be cool as best as you can. But yeah, no, I was like, I got home that night and I was just like freaking out. Like, oh man, it was. And Sarah McLachlan showed up, and I love Sarah McLachlan.
Oh yeah. Did you feel like you were in the arms of an angel?
I actually kind of was because we were watching the video of Jensen Ackles. Like, you know, they do those montage videos, and it was like all the times he's like goofing around on set and things like that. And they were watching that, and I was like, I couldn't see there was a beam that was like blocking the screen, so I was like cozied up next to the person that was next to me. I was like, oh hey, sorry, I just can't see. And I was like watching it, like snuggled up next to this person. Yeah. And then the video ends, and it turns around, and it's Sarah McLachlan, and I was like,
you were
hi.
Hi.
Oh fuck.
So you'll probably get a job out of this anyway. You network monster. No, I don't know if I could do it. Like the most famous person I've met is probably when we went to Neil's studio to check out Oates.
Oh yeah.
And I was like super cool about it, of course.
Oh yeah, you were super chill.
Super cool. But no, I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, on the inside.
Yeah, that like inner voice just screaming constantly, be like, ah!
Yeah, be cool about it. Be cool. No, that's terrible. But it's I think it's cool to see. Is this your dream job that you're doing right now?
It is my dream job, but it's not the exact dream job. I want to at some point work at like Pixar or DreamWorks.
Okay.
But I feel like that's probably quite a ways away.
I would say 4 or 5 more parties.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go to all the parties.
Yeah.
I recently tried to get into the DreamWorks party for Seagraph. I didn't try very hard, but I randomly applied at DreamWorks just so I'd be on their like email list.
Okay.
To see if maybe they send me a ticket.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't. It didn't work out. So
that's too bad.
I may still sneak in.
You should. If anyone's listening that even has connections to DreamWorks, just hook Tegan up.
So this is just a podcast of me being like, Chris Pratt, come to Vancouver. DreamWorks, send me a ticket.
Oh, that's perfect. Because if you draw that audience, and that's fine by me. Well, I guess would your real dream job would be to work for Pixar from space?
Oh, geez, I would die. I don't even. You're just giving me a new dream.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'm the dream
I'm going to think about this. I'm going to think about how I'll start a studio in space.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. Actually, space doesn't sound super cool to me because I met Chris Hadfield once, and the stories he told were like, holy shit, that doesn't sound cool at all. Like, he was like, you see in the movie when you see Spacewalk and it's all cool and Sandra Bullock steps out of the spacesuit like in her underwear and her hair is still perfect. Like, you get nerve damage from just being out in space and fixing stuff. It's apparently super brutal on the body. So I think you made a good choice.
You just gave me a new dream, and now you're crushing it.
That's the power that I hold.
I mean, this is how much I have a spaceman tattoo. I love space.
You have all kinds of cool tattoos. What's your favorite tattoo?
It's the spaceman.
Yeah, that is pretty.
Yeah, but I also like death.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know if you can see that.
No, probably not.
It's death with kittens. It's from Terry Pratchett.
Okay. That's pretty
Go
sweet.
read Terry Pratchett. Terry Pratchett's amazing.
I think the only... I'm going to get hate for this, as always. The only reason I know that at all is because of the video game Discworld.
Okay.
I know, right?
Oh my god, I'm leaving. This is the end of the podcast.
I have so much stuff to catch up on because I was just late to the party by being Dutch, maybe. I'm not sure if that's a real excuse.
I am Dutch. That's not an excuse.
Did you live in Holland, though, for most of your life?
No.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that's the thing. It was like it was a geographic problem. It's not a nationality problem. No. I miss out on a bunch of like comic books. Complete blind spot.
Is they just not come out in the Netherlands?
The access to it was limited. Like, I remember, like, the only comic book in store was like a train ride away.
Okay.
Because you would have to go to a different city to buy comic books because the town I live in just didn't have it. And here, they're literally everywhere. Like, if I go downtown, there's like 3 or 4. So that culture just flew over my head. And then now I'm trying to be cool on the internet. And I'm like, I don't know, man. But I also think...
ever possible to be cool on the internet.
No, never, ever possible.
Not possible.
But I kind of like not having the burden of source material. And that's why I can just enjoy a movie like Batman vs. Superman. Because I don't give a shit what the source material says. I just want shotgun Batman. Be a badass. Because it's cool.
You're just wrong. Like... it's not a good movie.
It doesn't matter if it's a good movie. It's an enjoyable flick. That's what all that needs to be.
All right. You talk about this on your hashtag. Hashtagany.
The hashtagany.
Yeah. Talk about it there, and then we'll shit on your views.
That's fine. Hey man, I'll take the views.
Area.
I will take the views. So you're kind of living the dream job, and I just enjoyed it. That's what I talked about with Steven as well, because I get a kick out of that, of people doing their dream jobs. But I do want to talk about something else, because on your way to your dream job, you had a setback,
bump in
the road. So you got diagnosed with cancer. It was at mid-career?
Yeah, I was working on Ninja Turtles at the time. Actually, I wasn't a lead yet. I think this was before I became a lead. But yeah, I was mid working on Ninja Turtles, and then I was like, "Hey, you have cancer."
Yeah, for if you're listening to this, you're like, wow, you just bring it up. We talked about this before, because I think it's an important topic to talk about, especially when it comes to screening testing. How did that work? How did you find out? Did you get sick? Did you find something weird, and then it just...
This is gonna scare people.
That's fine.
Because it's such a minor thing that turned into such a major thing. So if anyone listening, should always go to the doctor for anything. Yeah. But I feel like the doctors are now going to be like, damn it, they're coming in for these stupidest things. No, but you should. You really should. Yeah. So what it was I was just getting out of the shower one morning and pat my neck down, my neck dry, and realized it kind of hurt to push on this area of my neck. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I'll keep an eye on that, I guess. And then for 3 days, it hurt. And if I coughed, it would shoot pain into my head. But after 3 days, it was gone. Yeah. It didn't last more than 3 days. So most people would probably just be like, it's gone. I'm just carrying on with my life now. But I have a very direct family history of thyroid cancer. My dad passed away when I was 12 from thyroid cancer. So I was like, no, I should probably go to the doctor for this. Yeah. So I went to the doctor, and they didn't seem super concerned until I mentioned that my dad had passed from thyroid cancer. Yeah. And then they were like, okay, we're going to run a bunch of tests now. Yeah. So they did, I had to do a ultrasound first. I think it was the ultrasound blood test and an ultrasound first. And the ultrasound ended up finding a 2-centimeter mass, which is, I guess, about this big, something like that, in my thyroid. Yeah. And so then they sent me to get it biopsied, which is just basically they numb your neck area and then stick a needle and just extract a little bit and then test it. So I had to do that. And the whole time, the person that was running the biopsy was like, it's really rare. We do this all the time. It never comes back. It's 1 in 50 comes back as cancer. It's just not, you're probably totally fine. Yeah. And I was like, it's probably nothing. Yeah. It's totally nothing. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. But it came back, and actually I went to the clinic. They called me and they were like, we need you to come back to get the results. And I was like, oh man, if they call you, it's not good. No. Because if they don't call you, then it's you're fine. Yeah. But if they call you, then you're like, something's wrong. Yeah.
Especially if they make you come in, right?
Yeah. Well, they'll never tell you over the phone. They always make you come in. Yeah. But so I went in, and I went into a waiting room, and the doctor came in. He was like, oh, so what are you in for today? And I was like, to see if I have cancer. Yeah. And he was like, oh, hold on. Yeah. He just didn't look at my chart, just walked in and said that. And then he opened it up and he was like, oh. I was like, just tell me. Just fucking tell me. Yeah. What? And he was like, yeah, this looks like you have a very high chance that you actually do have cancer. So he's like, so we're now transferring you over to the cancer agency. They are going to do some more tests and things like that. Yeah. So that was the worst delivery ever. Yeah. Thank you, Yaletown Medical.
Yeah, for the that's the worst news.
Yeah, and he was just like, "What are you in for today?" Yeah. It's like, you should probably know that.
How old were you at the time?
27.
27. Okay.
So quite young. So it can happen. When you're young. Think anything is wrong with yourself, go get checked out. Yeah. So when I went over to the cancer agency, and they were like, "We're gonna do a half thyroidectomy." Which is where they just take out the half of the one lobe of my thyroid that had the tumor in it. Yeah. They still weren't sure that it was cancer. It was just probably. So we're just going to take out that half anyways.
What does the thyroid do? Just I don't
It
even
does
know.
It does a lot.
Yeah,
So it
but you can't
regulates.
just miss half. That's what always what
No.
amazes me. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can actually, because I don't
Okay.
have a thyroid at all.
Okay.
And I just have to take a pill every day.
Okay.
And the pill like kind of replaces what the thyroid does.
Okay.
So your
Okay.
thyroid, it regulates your weight, like your metabolism.
Mhm.
It regulates quite often your heat levels.
Yeah.
You can get extremely hot or like overheat really easily with thyroid problems.
Mhm.
It controls your hair. Like a lot of people go through hair loss when they first get rid of their thyroid.
Mhm.
It does like your nails,
Yeah.
like the strength of your nails. It does so many different things.
Okay.
Your skin, like it's an incredibly important organ.
Yeah.
So if you think there's a problem with your thyroid, you should definitely
check
get
it
that
out.
checked out.
Yep.
Yes. So yeah, I booked in for surgery for the half thyroidectomy. They were just going to take out the one half and then see if it was cancer. So I went under, and then I woke up, and the doctor came over and was like, "Okay, so we performed a neck dissection while you were out." And I was like, "That sounds really bad."
Yeah.
It's like, what happened?
Yeah.
This was supposed to be a half thyroidectomy.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, as soon as we opened it up, we could tell that it was cancer.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you opened you up, it was definitely cancer. So we took out your your entire thyroid is gone, and then we also removed 11 lymph nodes because it had spread.
Okay.
So it was really good that
Yeah.
I caught it so early, because if it had already spread past my thyroid, there was a really high chance that it was going to move a little bit faster than normal.
Yeah.
So then I had to be booked in for radioactive iodine treatments, which is this. I should send you a picture to put up. It's like this. You have to go into a room for 3 days that's lead lined. So and you can't have any contact with any outside people because you are extremely radioactive.
Yeah.
And they bring in this case, and I took a picture of it because it looks like it's straight out of Fallout. Like it's insane. It's got like nuclear medicine tape wrapped around it.
Yeah.
And you have to open the steel case, and there's a canister inside, and you open the canister, and there's just a little vial of what looks like thick water,
Yeah.
and you just drink it. And then they take out a Geiger counter, and they're like, yeah, you're radioactive, I have to go now. And then they leave, and then you don't see anyone for 3 days, and you just sit there doing nothing, not allowed to bring. I asked them if I could bring in my PlayStation, and they said no, unless I wanted to leave it there because it would become radioactive.
That's nuts.
I had to like wrap everything. Like I was allowed to bring in my cell phone, but I had to wrap it in like a couple layers of like saran wrap, so that my sweat wouldn't actually get on the cell phone.
Okay.
I had to like leave all of the clothes that I was wearing at the hospital because I couldn't take them home. And then I wasn't allowed to be around pregnant women or children for 2 to 3 weeks. And then if I was traveling within 3 months, I had to bring a letter from the nuclear medicine department saying I had had radiation and I might set off their sensors.
Yeah.
Which I did end up doing. So I didn't set off the sensors, but I traveled to LA.
Yeah.
And I brought that letter, and I handed the letter to the customs agent, like before you go through the sensors and stuff. And I was like, or not customs agent, whatever, border agent.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, I had cancer treatment or radiation. I might set off these sensors. And she didn't even look at it. She was like, okay, yeah, you've also been randomly selected for extra screening.
Yay.
And I was like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it was one of the most embarrassing moments of my life because while I was off being extra screened, they were going through my suitcase.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And they closed it, but they didn't zip it. So it looked like it was closed.
Yeah.
So as soon as I came back from the extra screening, I picked it up, and like my underwear went all over the place, and like my bra was that way, and I was like, oh no. I like scrambled to pick it back up, and I was like, you guys are the worst.
They are the worst.
You probably did that on purpose, you assholes.
Yeah, let's get the kick her while she's down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I am officially now 2 years cancer free, which is very exciting, but I still have to do blood work every 3 months. And I get ultrasound test or a full body scan every year because there's a very high chance that it's going to come back. Yeah. So they're just like, we're just going to have to, that'll be the rest of my life. Like it'll decreased increments for the blood work, but that's fine. Like whatever. Yeah. And then I also have a higher chance of getting other cancers because of the radiation. Because obviously, if you bombard your body with that much actual radiation, then it's like probably something's going to go wrong in the future.
Yeah.
But
like, You said it spread so fast, even though you caught it like almost immediately.
Well, I don't know. I don't know when it would have started.
Yeah, I get
'Cause,
it. Well,
like,
when you get
it started when I
symptoms,
was
right?
really young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's so important that to do the check. And like you were 27. I know when I was 27, I was like just an idiot. I would never have thought of like
I was
even
also
now.
an idiot, just for some reason, not with this.
Well, but that's just so good because I know for myself. Recently, I noticed something on my legs that has been there for years, and I was like, after 5 years, I should probably go check it out because I thought it was maybe a circulation issue. It was nothing. It was all fine. But
Yeah.
like now I'm getting a little older and a little bit more responsible. But you
That's
have
good.
to do that stuff. Like it doesn't
You should.
matter because it can literally save your life. Like
Yeah,
you're
it's
good
really
now.
important.
Um, so I'm happy you were willing to talk about that story. Does anything and feel free to talk or not talk about this, but like how does that change afterwards? Like you're out, you're free. Do you get that renew? Like you still live with Steven. Like it's unbelievable. Even after that you're like, no, I'm gonna live the good life now. But no, you're still with
I know.
him.
Why didn't I leave? Once I
I
realized
know,
the
right?
value of life. No, I mean it does change your perspective a little bit. My cancer wasn't like I know this is something that they tell you when you're like a survivor or whatever, that every cancer is bad, blah blah blah. But my cancer wasn't as bad as it could have been if it was a different cancer. So I am one of the lucky ones in that regard.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a little bit more scary in my mind because my dad had died from it.
Yeah.
So it was like, they keep telling me like it's not one that really kills people, but I'm like, but it did.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, but I mean, I had a great support system. My mom has been amazing. She's a wonderful woman. Steven, I don't like saying anything nice about him, but he was great.
Yeah.
My friends are all fantastic. Like I had a wonderful support system. I was never like, I don't know why, but I was never really scared. It was just kind of like, this is just something you have to now do.
Yeah.
Like you just have to deal with this and then it will be okay. And you just carry on. But it does give you a little bit of a perspective of like you never really know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you shouldn't really settle for anything because you don't know what's going to hit you at any time.
No.
So like I mean, I'm so happy that I ended up leaving the job that I hated.
Yeah.
And started doing that before any of this hit because it was like that probably would have triggered it anyways, to be honest. If I got this when I was still working in like the government job that I didn't really like,
Yeah.
that probably would have triggered it. But you shouldn't let something like this be the thing that makes you change something.
No.
Just change it if you don't like it.
Yeah.
That's again easier said than done.
That's true. It's funny. I had this conversation with my sister was here all week. She visited from Holland. I hadn't seen her in 2 years, and we were talking about like doing what you love. And when I was younger, because I moved away, so my whole family's in the Netherlands, and she asked me like, did you picture yourself like living in another country? And I said, oh, actually, it was always my plan to move to a different country because someone once told me like most people die within 10 kilometers or 7 miles, whatever, of where they were born, and it was always
That's true?
that was such a depressing thought to me. Maybe it's a European thing. I don't know. Like I did not do any research on this. So my idea when I was like 15 was that I do not want to be one of those people. But my idea was I'm going to be like retiring in Portugal in my rocking chair with a dog and like, you know, a good enough life. And then my estranged father that I saw twice a decade, he had his one drop of wisdom in his entire life where he said like, why wait until you retire? And I was like, fuck, like, why would you? If that's the picture of your happiness later, what you want to achieve, then why put that 40-year delay on that? And it didn't really matter because like would not know that I would meet a Canadian girl and that I would move for her to Canada.
Yeah.
But like, don't wait with what makes you happy. I guess like don't wait for
I mean,
that cancer.
that's another thing that I'm really admire you for is because you're like really pushing into the stuff that you want to do, as opposed to like the job that you just had that you were not super happy with, and now you're just like, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to put it all out there, and you're doing it, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad.
Really
well, they helped me out a little bit with that reorganization, but still.
But you were doing it before all.
Yeah, I was working on it.
Like
I do hope that I can make this into not this specifically, but just like me being in the gaming space in a real career. But the big lesson for me was like, do not wait until something goes wrong for you to do that. So now I do live in a different country. I do not have a rocking. I do have a rocking chair actually. I just don't use it as much because in Canada
there you go.
Minus
Living
40.
The dream.
I do I do feel that I'm living the dream, and this might sound like a weird conversation, but it's kind of what I want to talk with you about. Like if you could do it all over, I used to have that fantasy. If I would wake up tomorrow and I'm 15 years old again, like what would I do differently? And it used to be like this thing I could think about for hours and hours, and now that terrifies me. If I would wake up tomorrow and I'd be 15 years old to backtrack everything to be what I am now. So for you're an animator. You're doing everything what you wanted to do. Yes, you had a hump in the road. Do you feel like you're in a good spot right now? Would you do it all over if you wake up tomorrow 15, or is it something you would not want to?
No, I would do it. I would do it over. I would do it differently, but I would do it over.
What would you do differently, though?
Well, I wouldn't put myself into debt going to a university for a degree that I didn't end up using. Mm-hmm. I wish what I had done instead, if I had known that I wanted to be an animator off the bat, which I didn't. But if I had, then what I would have done is, I probably wouldn't have known that this is what I would tell myself this is what you should do.
Yeah.
Is go to or enroll in one of the online animation schools like iAnimate or Animation Mentor. They provide really, really good training for animation, and it's people that are at DreamWorks and Disney and Pixar that are teaching it, and it is literally a fraction of the cost of like a traditional film school or university. I think one iAnimate course is like $1,600, whereas and that's like 12 weeks of really good training. And if you go to obviously a university is going to be like 40 grand, 50 grand, probably higher now actually, because that was when I was there 10 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
And then if you go to film school, it's like 40, 50 grand for 1 year. So you can really, really put yourself financially into a bad position by doing that. So it's just something that I would still want to come this exact route, and I want to be where I am now. I'm super happy with all of that, but I would have tried to get there slightly differently because avoid that debt and avoid some of that extra stress that I placed on myself. But I mean, I maybe if I had done it differently, I wouldn't be here. I don't know.
That's what I always like tell myself now. Like you maybe you would not have gone to that school. You would have taken another road one day. You would have gotten hit by a bus, and like nothing of that would have happened because there's
let's be optimistic in this.
I know. Well, there's no two roads, right? It's just the one shot that you get. But what you did just provide, I think, is provide good information for people who do not have to wait for that, that second chance. They can do that right now. And so that's you should thank Tegan for that if you are thinking of this. I was at the grocery store today, and the guy at the counter was talking about going to animation school. I was like, you should listen to my podcast tonight, but I did not say that because
you shouldn't. You always plug it. Come on.
I know. Like this grocery store I go to, I already get in trouble there all the time because there's this little man who works the carts, and he's convinced I am a famous hockey player. And
you actually do kind of look like a hockey player.
Well, I am 6'5", but I wish I would know who he thinks I am, because he has talked to me twice saying like, oh, so it was a good game, and I was like, I told him right away, like, I don't think I am who you think I am, and he didn't believe me.
Ask him.
I know, but last time he thought I was pretending not to be the guy who he thought it was, just to be able to walk away. And then today I walked into him, he's like, hey, you got the today off? I was like, yeah, lucky me. I was like, I've got every day off.
just play along with it now.
I should,
like,
maybe.
Oh man, you my game last night?
That was so good. Yeah, no. No, didn't you get your head knocked off? I'm like, see, I do not watch hockey. I'm terrible at all the things. But I like you are such in a good spot right now, despite everything. And I like how you just like casually provide information to young animators, maybe trying to go out there. What is your next step? Like, I know you want to work for DreamWorks, you want to work for Picture. You're going to finish this movie. You've moved around so much.
I haven't really. Well, I've moved studios a lot, but I've always been in Canada. I really want to try working in another country for a bit. That's been kind of something that I've been thinking about a lot lately.
Yeah.
Luckily, Animalogic has a studio in Australia. That's their like home base is Sydney.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of asking if maybe, I don't know if they'd do this or not, but just put out the feelers and be like, maybe I could go over there for a bit. Not for long. Like, I want to come back here, but I just want to kind of try, because I've only ever lived in Canada, and I feel like I'm kind of missing out on some life experience by sticking around here.
Yeah. Well, I think if you move from one side of Canada to the other, that is also like a pretty big cultural change. Maybe Toronto and Vancouver is not as big as Vancouver, Australia is going to be, but I can't.
Well, they're very similar too, though, Australia and Canada.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, there's not too much culturally different there, so I really want to go to Scotland, but I don't think there's really any animation studios.
Yeah, not really. I don't know. I wouldn't know if there are any Scottish people listening. Are there any animation studios?
Provide me information.
Hook us up. But that would be cool. Are you going to take Steven with you, or is he just going to stick around? It's like,
I think he'd probably stick around here.
Yeah, I don't think that he would do Australia. He would probably die 27 seconds into the move. Before the suitcase are off the plane, he'll be like dying.
Dead.
Yeah.
No, I think like he'd probably want to maybe visit out to Australia, but I think he'd want to stay here. So we'd probably just do long distance for a bit.
That's doable.
Because I don't want to stay out there. I just want to go for a bit and live somewhere else.
That'd be so cool. I just applied for an Australian company as well, but it would work from home, so that would be. Oh, yeah.
Well, that's ideal. Yeah, you wouldn't move.
No, you only do that once, I think, like a permanent move like that. Yeah, because uprooting, like I just uprooted myself. If I would have to uproot my entire family,
your family is very different.
Yeah, that is.
I don't have a family. I just have Waffles.
Well, Waffles is a very well-known, famous internet cat.
For a child.
Yeah, and I think her engagement rate on the Twitter would not be as good if the time zones don't line up with most of her audience.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you have to think of these things. So you already gave some advice, and so I'm not sure if you're going to top this, but like I see you as someone who's very successful in what they do, other than not throwing yourself in debt and going to all the parties. Like, what's the big tip?
Honestly, the biggest thing you can do is keep networking and just be really, really nice to everyone, because that people will remember that, but people will also remember if you're not nice. So the best thing you can do if you want to get into animation is keep working on your demo reel. Take those online courses if you have enough money to afford them, because it is only 12 weeks and it's about $1,600 to $2,000, and you will get a very, very good training from it. I had a fantastic teacher. Mine was Alexis Wanneroy. He is a supervising animator at DreamWorks. So when I took a supplemental course when I was working on, I think it was when I was on Turtles actually as well. I took an iAnimate course just like in my spare time, and it is so helpful. Like, you can learn so much that you just never even thought about. And the teachers there are just like, they're the type of teachers that I feel like I should just be working for them. But they're the type of teachers that, like, not like teaching, but like working, promoting them.
Yeah. They should pay you. That's really what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. They're the type of teachers that, like, whatever feedback they give you, you're just like, I trust this. Even if I don't see it, I don't see what they're talking about, I'm going to do it, and then it will look better. And it ends up looking better because they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's really good, and it's not that expensive. It'll really help your demo reel. And then build a network, be nice.
Yeah. You've mentioned demo reel a couple of times. Like, I know what it is. It's just your portfolio. But like, it's one thing to animate. It's another thing to create a highlight reel. Is there anything like that's a whole new skill. Did you have to learn it yourself, are there people that do that for you?
No, you have to do it yourself.
Oh, man.
For sure. I guess you could try. No, you should do it yourself
Yeah.
because you're the one that knows which shots you think are your most proud of.
Mm-hmm.
Which is usually the toughest part. Like once you build, at first it's really difficult because you don't have enough to show, and then eventually it gets difficult in a different way because you've got so many different movies and shows and stuff that you've worked on that you're just like, I can't show everything because they should never be more than 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to figure out exactly which shots you're like, I want that there, and you should always put the one you're most proud of first.
Mm-hmm. Because
not all employees are going to watch to the end.
Yeah.
So put the one that you're like, this is my best shot, put that first. And then make sure that you like, the one thing that really bothers me when people do demo reels, drives me crazy, is they put music and they put music really loud over the entire thing, even if there's dialogue. And I see it all the time and it drives me insane. You can't see anything that you're animating if there's music going over the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that bothers me. But I mean, it's just a matter of figuring out what shots you want to include and what shots you think you shouldn't include, and show it to people. Like show it to animators that you trust. Be like, or modelers or effects artists, whatever you're into. Take your demo reel, send it to them, be like, which shots do you think this is good, or which ones should I remove? Which ones are not helping me? And if you trust them, they will come back with honest feedback. And I've had it before. Like I send it to a couple people. One of the people I usually send it to is Kyle Desange. He's on Twitter as well. He's a very, very good animator. He's working on Dauntless right now, I think. So I'll quite often send it to him and be like, which one should I get rid of? And he's just super good at seeing things like that. So he'll be like, yeah, this shot is not helping you. Just take that out. Yeah. So it's really helpful to show people. Yeah. And that also goes for animation. Like if you're working on something, show it to people because it's going to be only improved with feedback.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's
which
pretty
is
cool.
terrifying, actually, showing it to people. But you just have to get over that.
Yeah, the audience is the only thing that's they're gonna tell you if you're. Is it if you show to friends? I think you need to pick like really good friends because some friends are like, "Oh, this is amazing." If they don't know what they're talking about, I guess you have the kind of friends that could actually give you valuable feedback. Because my mom thinks every episode is fantastic, but I know there's plenty to improve.
Yeah, I know. If I showed it to my mom, she'd just be like, "Oh, it's so amazing! I'm going to show it to everyone I know." Yeah. I'm like, no.
Get real feedback, Mom.
Not helpful. No, send it to people that know. Like, don't send it to people that aren't in the industry because they'll just be like, "Oh, that's really cool." So whatever industry you're in, whatever department or whatever specialization you're in, just send it to people that you trust within that, and then they'll get back to you and be like, "This is good. This is bad. This is great. Put this first. Do this later." Yeah. Things like that.
That's pretty sweet. Any chance we'll see any of your work in the gaming industry anytime soon?
Honestly, I hope so.
Yeah.
I really do want to get into gaming. I have a few friends, like I said, Kyle is one of them that works in games, and I've got a few friends at EA and a few other gaming studios. So I'm not opposed to going into games. I actually really kind of want to because I've done feature and I've done TV. I feel like gaming is a potential next step.
Yeah. Just aim for like Blizzard cinematics. I mean, those guys kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's obviously the first foray into gaming will be Blizzard.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure you have some friends who can get you into a party.
That's like coming out of school and going to Pixar first.
Yeah, well, I would say going to VeggieTales right out of school. That's pretty cool too.
Oh God, man! Like because I used to be very Christian. Yeah. And my mom still is. And every time I go back for Christmas, like we go to church. And when I was working on VeggieTales, everyone at the church was like, "Oh, you've made it so big! I can't believe you're working on VeggieTales! Like, it's so cool!" And then I quit VeggieTales and went on to Ninja Turtles and came back, and they were like, "Why would you stop working on VeggieTales to work on Ninja? You made it. Why would you go backwards?" And I was like,
"That's so funny.
It's VeggieTales." Yeah. Like,
hey man, they don't need limbs to be amazing. The veggies. I should check them out. But again, I really enjoyed this chat, and I can talk about your work like all the time, but then we're gonna go in an endless loop with me asking questions and you getting all technical. But I do I always close off with podcast and shill because I'm pretty sure people gotta know where they can find you and what do you want to plug if there's anything you want to plug.
Oh, I don't have anything to plug. I'm really lame.
Arr.
My Twitter handle is at Tegan Laing.
Yay.
It's very original. It's just my name.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything to plug. Go watch Lego Movie
Lego Movie. One or two? One or two?
2.
Okay. Well, this
One
goes
is
up
already
on
out.
this goes up on Monday. Like people are not going to remember that in January 2019.
Okay,
It's gonna
so
be-
go watch Hotel Transylvania 3.
See, that's a better plug.
That's
a better
still
plug.
out in theaters, I think, right now.
I believe so. Yes.
So go watch that. Have fun.
It is
Bring
fun.
your family. Bring your friends. Bring
It is
your mom.
definitely a family-friendly movie.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I really enjoyed this talk, and I love, of course, everything you do in animation. I think it's very interesting. But I think the story that you told about your cancer, how to catch it early, do the treatment. You never know. Like there might be someone listening right now who
Oh, that'd be awesome
who
if we
dragged
save a
himself off
life.
this morning. You never know, and I think that's important. And I'm very grateful that you want to talk about it as well. So following that, I have to now plug myself, which is terrible, but I will do it anyway because I am the Hashtagonist, and you can find me on Twitter under the Hashtagonist as well. And if you find this through one of the billion podcast services that just lift this from SoundCloud, you can find me on patreon.com/the Hashtagonist, and you can make this show a lot easier to make too. Give me some dollar bills. That would be fantastic. Tegan, thank you so much again. I am looking forward to seeing you again, but my Vancouver trips might not be as abundant as they were.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, but I know you're coming my way every now and then, so let me know.
Yeah, but I usually go to Toronto, not Ottawa,
Yeah, Toronto.
and it's usually just over Christmas.
Yeah, that's true. And
But
I'm not
you never
there.
know.
You never know.
I might get there.
And if you're still listening, thank you so much. And if you're still watching, let me know how this whole 2-camera setup worked, because I found it a lot easier to work with, but I haven't edited this yet, so it might be terrible. We'll see. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.